Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So, what does food mean to you? Well, join me today as my special guest is Danny Freeman from Danny Loves Pasta, and he's the author of a cookbook with the same title, Danny Loves Pasta. And pasta is such an interesting food with an interesting history and some really interesting facts that I wanted to share with you today. So, even though Italy gets most of the credit for the fame of pasta, there's archaeological evidence that suggests that it might have originated in China around 5000 BC. There's also a debate about Marco Polo introducing pasta to Italy, as some regions already had their own versions. Did you know that there are over 600 different pasta shapes around the world? Each one is designed to perfectly capture a specific sauce. Penne, with its ridges, holds chunky pesto, while farfalle, which are bow ties, cradle creamy Alfredo best. Each pasta really has its own sauce that works best with it. So, did you know that the word pasta has evolved over time? In Greek, it meant barley porridge, while in Latin, it meant dough pastry cake. In modern Italian, it simply means paste due to the way that it's made. And though Italy is the pasta powerhouse, they're not the biggest consumers. The average American enjoys about 15 to 20 pounds of pasta a year, while Italians devour a whopping 51 pounds of pasta a year. And believe it or not, Thomas Jefferson is credited with introducing macaroni to the United States. He even had a pasta machine shipped from Italy. Stay with me for our fun interview with Danny Freeman from Danny Loves Pasta. Hey, welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. And today, my special guest is Danny Freeman. He is a chef and an awesome cookbook author, and he's here to talk about his new book, right, Danny?
Yes, hi Maria. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So tell us first the title of your book. I'm going to let you tell everyone about your book, a little about your book.
Sure, the book is called Danny Loves Pasta, that's the name I've been using on social media for the last few years as a pasta chef and a content creator. So
Right.
the book is all about pasta, as the name says, and it really takes you through everything you need to know about making fresh pasta from scratch, how to make a dough, how to
Uh-huh.
make gluten-free dough, vegan dough, and then how to use vegetables and spices and herbs to make rainbow dough, every color of the rainbow you can make using natural ingredients. And then it takes you through how to make traditional shapes, how to make ravioli, how to make sauces, how to make some fun, colorful pasta. So it's really like a colorful, fun, fresh pasta.
Wow, fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I know a lot of people want to know how to make pasta. And it's really not rocket science, but people are really intimidated by that. So let me just ask you, how did you get started getting into pasta and so passionate about pasta?
Well, I grew up in an Italian American family, so I grew up eating pasta all the time. My mother is a great cook. She made it all the time. My grandmother, my father makes pasta. So I grew up eating it. And as a kid, we sometimes made fresh pasta here and there. Um, but it wasn't really until later that I really started getting into it. So
Huh?
this whole journey started for me a few years ago. After COVID hit, I
Right.
was a lawyer. I was working in New York City and then went remote. Um, and a few months into COVID, my husband and I, our daughter was born, our first daughter.
Oh, wow.
We now have two kids, but our older daughter was born in
Uh-huh.
2020. And so that year when Christmas came, for the first time in my entire life, I couldn't go home for Christmas because of COVID and we were living kind of far away and the
Right.
baby. And so I always went home for Christmas. I always spent it with my parents and with my grandparents. And my
Uh-huh.
grandmother always made fresh pasta on Christmas.
Uh-huh.
So I decided I was gonna make fresh pasta. I was gonna make all of like our traditional foods for Christmas just for us. So I made fresh pasta with my grandmother's recipe.
Uh-huh.
FaceTimed, I showed her.
Hey.
Um,
Oh.
and then a few days after Christmas, 2 or 3 days, my grandmother was rushed to the hospital
Oh
very unexpectedly. And
oh,
about a week or two later, she ended up passing away.
oh my goodness.
And I was very close with her my entire
Uh-huh.
life.
Uh-huh.
Childhood, adulthood, I was very close with her. She
Huh?
meant a lot to me. It was really hard on me. I hadn't seen her for a while because of COVID.
COVID.
It was the week that my parental leave was ending, and I was going back to work as a lawyer, and
Uh-huh.
had a new baby and not sleeping. It was just a lot happening. So
Yes.
this part I can't really explain, but for some reason, I just found myself making fresh pasta every night after my daughter would go to bed. I'd go in the kitchen, I'd be working with the dough, I'd feel
Cathartic. It was a
cathartic.
cathartic
Yes,
experience,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
I'd feel close to my grandmother. I'd feel
Yes.
it's meditative. So I
Yes.
just started making it and trying different recipes, trying different shapes, and I thought I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna make a video and post it on social media, and
Uh-huh.
just for fun. And I started posting videos, not really thinking anything would come from it. And then over time, I started gaining an audience. I started experimenting more with different colors, like I said, and different shapes and
Yes.
different recipes. So
Yes.
it really just started from that moment and sort of snowballed from there.
Wow. And for some reason, when you told me you were an attorney and then you got into this, I was starting to think that COVID had something to do with it because I interviewed a pizza expert not too long ago. Actually, a friend of mine who I interview every so often. He's a pizza expert. How did he get into pizza making? Same thing. COVID, he was stuck home and he started actually studying how to make pizza like online through
Hmm.
international and all that. And I'm like, I wonder if it had something to do with your grandmother and COVID and myself too. My grandmother, when she passed away, we had never been to Italy, and that was when she passed away. We were like, we didn't know what to do, so we went over there, and that's where we started discovering about my grandmother. And I ended up actually getting into the culinary arts. So yes, so I definitely get can understand that. That's
Hmm.
wonderful.
I love that.
So are your kids old enough to make pasta with you? I know you said you have
Yeah. So, my older one is now 3.5, and my younger one
oh,
is 6 months. So my
oh
older daughter,
wow.
she does. She likes to be in the kitchen.
I guess it's like Play-Doh for them.
Exactly, exactly. And I make it in all these different colors, so she always wants a few different colors, and I
Oh
will be
yeah.
on one end cooking and maybe filming it for a video or trying a recipe, and she'll be kind of next to me right off camera, playing with the dough, rolling it out, making shapes and
Wow.
things like that.
Oh wow. Oh, that's really cute. She'll probably become a pizza expert. I mean, pasta expert. Pasta expert starting so young. So
Mhm.
do you have like a favorite pasta that you like to make?
So if I'm making pasta at home for dinner or something,
Uh-huh.
I will make a regular pasta dough.
Uh-huh.
I like to make it into bow ties. That's probably my favorite shape to make.
Oh,
They're pretty easy
yes.
to make. Like if someone is
Uh-huh.
just learning how to make fresh pasta, that's a pretty easy one. You
Huh?
don't even really need a pasta maker. You could just roll it out with a rolling pin and cut it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's cute. And then if I'm making a sauce to go with it, I mean, of course, I love just like a marinara sauce, a tomato
Right.
sauce. That's the one I make all the time.
Yes.
Um, but now it's getting so almost into warmer weather, so I'll probably make like more pesto. I like to
Uh-huh.
grow basil in my garden. That's another classic one
Yes.
I like to make. My daughter sometimes she just wants like butter and Parmesan cheese.
Yes. They like that. Kids love that.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. So, oh gosh, I just had another question I was thinking of. Oh, holidays. So I know you said your grandmother made fresh pasta for the holiday. Did she make any specific type of pasta for Christmas holidays?
Yeah, she would usually make cavatelli,
Oh, there you go.
and
Oh, yummy.
she would usually put ricotta in the recipe with
Uh-huh.
dough, so it was like a nice thick dough, a little plump.
Uh-huh.
So that was the
Yeah,
one that
yeah. So the
she would always make.
cavatelli with the ricotta in it, because
Hmm.
there's the gnocchi, which actually you can do the ricotta or the
Right.
the the potato. but
Hmm.
we always had lasagna for Christmas. So, but fresh pasta all the time too. My grandmother made the fresh pasta, and you will probably agree with me on this. There's nothing like fresh pasta. It's just
There's
like,
nothing like it. And it's very simple, really. I mean, the ingredients are very
yes,
simple.
it
And yet
is.
somehow when you take a bite, you're just like, you just can't stop eating it. Like something about it is just, even though it's not that complicated, really. Like you said, people are intimidated, but I always tell people it's really not that complicated once you learn how to do it. But something about it is just so amazing.
Exactly. And lasagna, right? Lasagna. I'm sure you probably make lasagna with fresh pasta. It's just
Hmm.
like two totally different dishes with fresh pasta or it's dried pasta. There's
Hmm.
no comparison. So so that's great. So Danny, tell us the title. Well, you're on Instagram, so where can people find you and tell us the title of your book again?
Yeah, so people can find me at Danny Loves Pasta, all one word, Danny Loves Pasta on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, and that is the title of the book as well. Danny Loves Pasta. It's available on Amazon or at your local bookstore or wherever you buy your books.
Right.
And it's really for any pasta lover out there. I know it's Danny Loves Pasta, but I hope other people love pasta
Love
too. So
pasta
anyone who
too.
loves pasta.
So let me ask you two things. What will you be doing a special pasta for Easter? Because Italians usually have different many courses. So even though some people make like a meat course, they also have a pasta course. What's your pasta take on Easter?
Yeah, so for Easter I live in New York and we're going to Baltimore to my brother's house. He's
Uh-huh.
hosting, so I won't have all my equipment, but we'll definitely make some pasta. We did it last year as well. So
Uh-huh.
it's funny because I grew up, like I said, we all ate meat and meatballs and lasagna, but as I've gotten older, a lot of my family has become vegetarians. I'm one of the holdout, but
Yes.
now my mom, my brother, my husband, they're all vegetarians. So I'll probably make pasta. We'll probably have like a ham or something like that for the meat eaters,
Right.
and we'll make a vegetarian pasta maybe. Last year we did a pasta with roasted cauliflower that was really good. So
Yes.
maybe we'll make something like that again.
Uh-huh.
But there'll definitely be a pasta dish.
Yeah, well, the one thing that's great about pasta, it goes with any vegetable. So,
Hmm.
you have so many choices out there. And then my last question is I usually ask my guests this. So, what does food mean to you?
Food for me, especially food that's homemade, for me, it's about feeling close to my family and our traditions. I think a lot about how when I started this, I don't know, this whole journey, it
Yes,
was right after my grandmother passed away and right after my daughter was born. And I don't know if it could have happened at any other moment because I thought a lot about my own memories of my childhood and my grandmother.
right.
And I had a lot of sadness thinking that my daughter will never know my grandmother, but how do I pass on those traditions? How do I make new traditions? Like what do I want to pass on to my daughter? And I have so many wonderful memories of growing up with my family and just feeling included and feeling loved. And it was often centered around food. It was around a holiday or a birthday or just Sunday dinner and everyone at the kitchen table and everyone picking food off the table and walking around
Yes,
talking and everyone sitting together. And so for me, food, food is what brings us together and food is what brings us joy and makes us feel connected. So I really, I really want to raise my daughters with those same memories. So that's my goal. That's part of my goals of this whole thing. I mean, for me, and then with my cooking,
uh-huh.
this colorful cooking, it's very fun. It's very light. It's very lively. It's something you can do with your friends or your family or your kids.
Yes.
But it's also about feeling joy and feeling love and feeling connection too.
Exactly. And I love the way you mentioned the word traditions to teach your kids traditions because it's such a wonderful vehicle to teach your kids your family traditions. And if you don't have a family tradition, you can start it with some of your recipes. People can start traditions, and it's such a wonderful way to get your kids together and do a fun activity with them. I love it.
Yeah.
So Danny Loves Pasta on Instagram. The book is at Amazon, I'm sure, and
Mhm.
probably anywhere books are sold. I
Yep.
just got my copy and I was just thumbing through it. It's wonderful. So I'm gonna Definitely take a look, and I might even use it for Easter, so for my Easter table. But Danny, thank you so much for being here, and keep us posted. Hopefully we'll have you back in the future.
Yes, thank you. Anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And thanks to this week's special guest, Danny Freeman from Danny Loves Pasta. And if you get to create any of his recipes or try any of the recipes in his book or create your own pasta recipes, please share with a photo on social media and hashtag them as the Maria Liberati Show. And we'll share the photos on the marialiberattishow.com website. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on our new YouTube channel, The Maria Liberati Show. And let's see, you can find me on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, and you can also find me on Roku at The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati channel. And you can find my Gourmand World Award-winning books, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, on artoflivingprimamedia.com, on Amazon, and really anywhere books are sold. And until next week, peace, love, and pasta.